Midaka yapi, iuha chante washte napi, chiusen happy. Washichia, Mona Thompson, imichiapi. Lakota hehaka washtewi imichiapi. Inawaye ki Arbana Thompson ichi yapi. Unchi waiki Christine White Eyes ichi yapi. Na lala waiki Delane White Eyes ichi yapi. Tioshpe mitawa ki ishtashka minikoju himataha. Wakbe washte oyanke himataha. My relatives, I greet you with warm heart and handshake. My English name is Mona Thompson, and my Lakota name is Hehaka Washtewi. My mom is Arbana Thompson. My grandmother, public speaking is hard for me, so you can hear the emotion in my voice. My grandmother is Christine White Eyes, and my grandfather is Delane White Eyes. I come from the Minikoju band of the Ocheti Shakowi, and I reside on the Cheyenne River Lakota Nation. So in our culture, we're all related. So I greet you warmly. I'm honored to be here with you today, and I have been given this opportunity to provide a few remarks to you. I'll start by saying that it's my hope that all tribal nations can be their own broadband provider and determine their own path for their tribal membership. NTTA, Godfrey, and GRTI have done a tremendous job in advocating for tribal nations at the federal level and by bringing the Tribal Broadband Summit to where it is today. Wopila Tonka to you and to all the NTTA members and the attendees that are starting to stand up broadband in their tribal communities that so deserve this critical service. There are many outstanding presentations by tribal representatives and tribal partners here, and it does my heart good to see the progress made as tribes begin their journey in the broadband arena. The partnerships formed between tribes and trusted vendors will take tribes into the future for generations to come. As Godfrey mentioned, I'm also honored to be the first Native American on a Universal Service Administrative Company. There's a lot of acronyms in the telecom industry. So it's USAC, Board of Directors, to represent tribal communities. This position was recently created to allow tribes to have a voice with the Board of Directors, in addition to the Tribal Liaison Communication Specialist, GEM. And if you were in here for Bambi's presentation, they are doing a listening session later this afternoon from 3 to 5. I want to recognize some of my relatives, Fred McLaughlin, Randy Hughes, the Oglala Nation, Standing Rock, Hunkpapa Nation. Ken White Eyes is from CRST Telephone Authority. Ken and I are actually related. If you heard my introduction, I come from the White Eyes family. So, and all of you across Turtle Island, Sicangu Nations here represented, thank you for coming to this great conference. Godfrey and I spoke about broadband opportunities and challenges in rural America before the U.S. Senate Commerce, Science, and Technology Committee in 2018. At that time, it was Senator Thune that was the chair of that committee. And that was before the pandemic of 2020. The pandemic made it glaringly evident that tribal nations are underserved and unserved. And that is why this is such a large group here today. Turtle Island, I mean, this is the land is important to us, and we all seek to provide for our tribal membership what is best to help them be successful. And we can't go forward if we don't think about how we got to where we are today. So historically, we, Cheyenne River Sioux Tribe, is the first tribally owned telephone company in the nation. We celebrate 66 years in business this year. And I was asked last night, how did your tribe decide that they wanted to be in the telephone business? And when I went back to our tribal minutes, those elected officials, those tribal council members and chairman at that time wanted our tribal members to have access to emergency services. And that was back in the day when it was the 8-party line. You called an operator, you can listen in to everybody's conversation. And then in 1996, the Telecom Act created a position at CRST Telephone Authority, marketing and economic development specialist, and that's when I started my career there at the Telephone Authority, was under that Telecom Act of 96. Dial-up then was the service, and we have since progressed to having 1,500 miles of fiber optic underground across Cheyenne River Reservation. We're now going to be deploying fiber into a SELEC territory on Cheyenne River and on Standing Rock Reservation. So we're very proud of where we started. We're proud of where we're at today, and we're hopefully going to continue that success into 66 years down the road for our younger generations. Unfortunately, because of the pandemic, and the evidence of no broadband access to tribal nations, the billions of dollars that are now available to tribes to get broadband service to their tribal membership is available. And you're going to hear a lot of how do you sustain that network? How do you sustain? And that's going to be the challenge going forward, I believe, is once you get it built, how are you going to sustain the operations of keeping that broadband service going to your tribal membership? The young lady on the digital inclusion, digital navigator panel, she talked about how their tribe, when they were in lockdown, council told them that they would get free internet. So now, how does that internet service, how do you go back out and start charging your tribal membership for that service? So that's really going to be a challenge that tribes are going to be facing, is how do you determine what you're going to charge? And so you hear a lot of speakers talk about Lifeline. Lifeline is probably going to be what's going to help your tribal low-income consumers be able to afford that broadband service. ACP, unfortunately, is most likely going away. I don't know if they're going to wait till the 11th hour to appropriate funds. I think that's still yet to be determined whether it, Godfrey's saying it's probably not going to happen. We don't have a crystal ball. There's a gentleman out here saying it's iffy. It's my hope that we do get the ACP refunded, because people really need it, and they deserve to have that access just like anybody else does. A few sessions that I've sat in, people have talked about tribal sovereignty and how important it is. To the vendors that are in the room here today, I want to say that there are similarities between tribes, but each tribe has their own unique set of laws that govern their tribal nation. And for you vendors that are going to be working with those tribes, be respectful of the tribal laws that govern that respective tribal nation. I have nothing else other than being appointed to the USAC Board of Directors. I feel honored. I hope to represent all tribal nations to the best of my ability. And I want to thank Godfrey and NTTA for this opportunity to speak today. Wopi Latanka.
Thank you so much. I tell you, it's a big thing for her to be on this board. I mean, she's going to advocate for us to make sure that we get what we need to be able to sustain our networks. We need that. We need ACP. We need sustainability funds to be able to get our companies off the ground. ISPs or telecoms, either way. But she's there to help us, and I wish you all the best luck and everything that we can to get them to at least understand what we need out here in the country. So thank you so much.
I do have one last comment. I'm looking at Carol over there. FCC Bambi, thank you for your presentation. Wireline carriers are required to have tribal engagement. However, there isn't anything that I believe dictates wireless carriers to have tribal engagement. So there are tribes that have their own tribal codes or tribal laws. And we just recently, Cheyenne River, experienced a wireless provider saying that they did not need to get Cheyenne River Sioux Tribe's approval to construct a tower within the exterior boundaries of our reservation. To me, that is wrong. They really need to abide by our laws. And so if, like I said, each tribe's different with regard to laws, but I really believe the Wireless Competition Bureau should require wireless carriers to go to tribes, each tribe, and respectfully honor those laws of the tribal land.
Great.
Thank you.
Yes.